Welcome, everyone, to Beyond the Brandywine,
where we wander, wonder, and occasionally get lost in Middle-earth. I'm Kelsey.
And I'm Angela. Beyond the Brandywine is a cozy, curious, and occasionally chaotic journey through the stories of Middle-earth. Join us as we laugh over the odd bits of lore and follow tangents like hobbits chasing second breakfast. We're here to explore the places where the map fades and the questions get weird.
So, Angela, for this week's episode, I've been thinking about, honestly, since our last episode where we talked about Lothlorien, Lorien, Laurel Lindorinen, if you will, all the names, being available real estate potentially in the Fourth Age after the elves depart, and it's just kind of there. And I was thinking about living in Middle-earth, so I wanted to ask you, for this week's episode, if you could pack up tomorrow and move anywhere in Middle-earth, and I mean actually live there, not just visit, where would you go?
It's such a hard question. And if you had asked me this last week before I started really thinking about it, I'd have said Lothlorien in a heartbeat. But now, if I had to say right now, I'm actually going to go with Lindon.
Lindon. Interesting. I didn't really give you boundaries on this, so I guess I should have prefaced with, doesn't matter which age of Middle-earth, right? Doesn't matter, like, you're a human, so you're not going to live forever. So I think the millennia, the kingdoms that exist for millennia maybe have less of a bearing on your decision. But live there, and we can talk about what you would want now or what would you want potentially in retirement. But all to say, there's no real bounds on this. But going back to Lindon, I guess, for those less familiar with Lindon, why don't you give our listeners a brief summary of the Kingdom of Lindon? Because I love it, but I'm sure some people are going to be like, what are you talking about now?
Well, even I had to remember it because, again, as I was thinking about this, I opened up the maps and I was looking at first age places, fourth age places, and we can talk about all those in between. Yeah, that's when I remembered Lindon because it's not in the movies like The Lord of the Rings or even The Hobbit, but it is in Rings of Power.
It's there at the end of the movies.
Oh, yeah, in the Grey Havens. Technically, yes. And it is very pretty there as well, but they don't really say Lindon. So, the name, people are like, maybe, what is that? In the Rings of Power, you do see it pretty often. And from what I do see of it, there's woods, there's rocky mountains, there's the water, Grey Havens. I think it looks really pretty. And it combines all of the different scapes, that I would love to have all in one place.
Yeah. So when you're kind of assessing your criteria for where you would want to live in Middle-earth, it sounds like geography plays a big part of that for you, you don't want to be isolated in one particular geography, like just the beach or just the coast or just a forest. You want something that, if you're going to be living there for reals, has a little bit of everything to offer.
Yeah, absolutely. Geography and what I'm looking at day to day plays a huge role in that. And so that was a big part of what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Like, gotta have trees.
Your elfy nature says you have to have trees.
Gotta have the trees. So Lindon's got a lot of those.
So you've got the Shire, and then west of the Shire are the Blue Mountains. And then west of the mountains, I guess if we're at the time of the Hobbit and the Third Age and all that, there's this little strip of land and then the ocean, and that's Lindon.
Yeah.
But you're saying for folks who, going back to the Silmarillion, right? Like, it's what used to be the easternmost part of a much larger continent.
Right.
That is now completely in the ocean.
Which,
thank you, War of Wrath.
I was going to say, that's a whole history lesson there that, when you got to go all the way back to the Silmarillion.
Pointing fingers at Morgoth.
Right.
Entire cataclysmic destruction of a
continent. There was a lot of destruction. Yeah, it all sank down into the ocean.
It's real sad.
There's nothing left except Lindon being like the very edge.
Yeah.
What was, like you said, the eastern edge of Beleriand is now the western edge of Middle-earth.
Yeah. For those of you that have it on our website, we'll be sure to add links on the map so folks can see what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, right? So it's this little bit of something that was much larger, and it's cool in the sense that it's all that's left of a much larger continent. It's kind of a remnant of what was. Tell me more. When you were assessing why you wanted to live there, obviously they've got all the geography stuff you're thinking about. Is there a cultural draw because it's the elves? We know you love the elves.
Yeah. I think I identify with the elves for some reason. I mean, not only the love of trees, but I think there's also a sadness to them. And maybe for them, it's that they're having to leave Middle-earth. Whenever I do look at the destruction of natural habitats in the world, I'm super aware of them.
Yeah.
And not everybody is, or at least
Not as much as you would like them to be, perhaps.
Yeah. And so I think I do live with a lot of that type of sadness underneath it of all the things happening in the world.
And I think an angsty elf.
Right. So I think I identify with that.
Yeah.
So I feel like the elves are my people, I guess. Honestly, Lindon reminds me of New Zealand in that New Zealand has so many different, it's very mountainous in some areas. There's some lowlands, but it's got a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And so it kind of gives me a similar vibe.
Yeah.
Might be a draw.
Does safety play into it as well? So you've got geography, you've got culture. I think of Lindon and its history. I mean, I'm glad it survived. It didn't break off with the rest of the continent, but it doesn't really does it get attacked in the Second Age?
Not that I can think of, but it's also the last place the elves ever live before they go across to Valinor.
Yeah.
So Galadriel and Celeborn, I think, pass through there and maybe live for a little while. Elrond too.
Yeah. So all the elves, as they're saying their final farewell to Middle-earth, have their last little quiet moments of reflection and introspection in Lindon and at the Grey Havens before they say farewell forever to Middle-earth. So it's kind of a poignant place.
Yeah.
In that sense.
Yeah.
I feel like there's going to be a lot of tears, though. Like, if you're seeing
I know, it sounds sad.
No, to be fair, we don't know how often the boats are leaving. Like, I feel like by the Third Age,
I think there's hundreds of years in between.
Yeah, but like, could you imagine being like, guys, we have to go down to the docks and say bye to another group?
Oh,
it's like
gosh.
a whole emotional, like the people that live
another goodbye party.
Well, yeah, another goodbye party. The people that are living there that aren't going are just like, here they come again, and they're going to say all these things, and they're going to be crying, and they're like, they see it every week.
Here we go again.
They've got the tissues ready. They're like, we know how this goes. Yeah. You'll be fine. Stop being so sad.
One more thought about Lindon.
Yeah.
There's, Grey Havens is the capital, but there's not a whole lot going on there. But I think I need a good balance of nature with a little bit of social life. I might live in Grey Havens, but, all the mountains and forests are all there for me to go exploring. What about you? Where would you want to live?
It's a tough one for me. So I think my answer would depend on a lot of things. And when you ask me and what my goals are in life, I think just for pure cool factor, if you had asked me a decade ago, I would have been, I want to live in Gondolin because it's this super cool hidden city in the mountains, and it's supposed to represent the best of the best in terms of beauty and architecture and be as close to replicating Valinor as the elves have ever come to in Middle-earth. Think mountains and this epic valley and white spires and everything you kind of think of in a classic fantasy.
And remind me, that's in the First Age in Beleriand?
Yes, it's in the First Age in Beleriand. It is part of the continent that is now under the water forever,
so
sadly.
It doesn't exist now, but yeah.
No,
but if it existed.
If it still existed, I think it's cool because you can see the desperation of the elves as they go into the war against Morgoth in the First Age. And for folks, again, we're like going deep lore here. This is like straight Silmarillion. If you don't want to read the entire Silmarillion, Tolkien has a really good standalone book that's just The Fall of Gondolin that kind of was re-edited. I don't know if it was by his son, Christopher Tolkien, or subsequent editors, but they sort of took out that particular story and made it a standalone
Which one is
novel. Literally called The Fall of Gondolin.
Oh, okay.
One of the reasons I was really drawn to it is it's actually one of the first stories Tolkien ever wrote.
Okay.
So when he was sketching out ideas for all these epic things happening, he had started writing about the fall of the city of Gondolin, almost like an isolated story. And obviously that evolves and you get all the mythology and mythos and lore and everything that happens and the sort of breadth of the Silmarillion. But clearly something about the idea of a hidden city really appealed to Tolkien because it was one of the first things he started writing. And the problem with Gondolin, right? The reason I wouldn't actually go with Gondolin, but I want to talk about it because I know it probably would have been my answer before.
Yeah.
Is again, it's cool, it's super secret. You have this incredible elven kingdom, like 3 people know the way in. The gates are guarded by the giant eagles of Manwë guard the entrance. Okay. So it's clearly got some like preferential treatment.
Yeah.
But then you
super
get into
exclusive.
Super exclusive. Like I want to be part of this super exclusive club. We get like Gondolin members only jackets. But when you actually dig into life there, I think I would be miserable.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. I'm a mountains girly, right? Like I need to be by my mountains in some form or another.
Yeah.
So there's definitely like the fact that it's surrounded by these insanely high mountains and this super beautiful valley. Like, yeah, that's awesome. It reminds me of Scotland, right? When you have like these sort of hidden vales between the mountains. And Morgoth didn't know where it was, and they kind of have their little civilization going for a while there. But if you dig into the actual rules of this place, nobody can come in and out. They're very strict about what you can do there. Like, if you want to travel, good luck. You're not being let out. I'm not really sure in the valley itself, if there's a whole lot going on or if it's just one giant city, and that's kind of like all you've got. I'm sure it's an amazing, beautiful, incredible
I'm sure you could live a fulfilling life, but if you happen to be born and don't
what if I want to go see the ocean? No,
right.
You're banished forever. The rules are very, very strict. It's a product of its time. I understand why the rules are strict because the elves had been getting it handed to them. And had already had a couple things destroyed. So they're like, we want to have a city. We want to be safe. We want to have our own thing. We want Morgoth to leave us. The F alone, please. Can we just have some peaceful? So I get it.
Yeah.
But it seems really harsh.
I get that. But so if you aren't picking that.
I think we'll talk about this throughout the episode. But
okay.
There's pros and cons of everything. Like what I want in life. There's something about the Shire that will always speak to me. Right?
Yeah.
It's cozy.
That was on my list.
Good food. I've got my books. I can wander around and see the neighbors. Got my little garden. It's quiet. It's simple. Now we can talk about the kind of cultural stuff in the Shire too. Like I was thinking to myself, would I get bored in the Shire? Potentially.
Right.
Like I like to adventure. I have some Took in me for sure.
Took, or Bilbo,
Yeah. I
got some wanderlust.
I kind of got that wanderlust. So if it's
same with me. So
if it's culturally acceptable, like where I can go on adventure every so often and then come back to the Shire, that's probably my ideal scenario.
Right. Well, I mean, the hobbits didn't really like Bilbo for his wanderlustiness.
No.
What did they call it? I'm forgetting what they called it. Unnatural? Is that what it was? No, because they called Frodo this too.
Oh, cracking. He's cracking.
Yes.
Yeah, they're in the Green Dragon Inn, right? And they're talking about like old Bilbo's cracked and Frodo's cracking. They see something very not right.
I mean, as long as you have a thick skin, though, right? They're just going to gossip about you.
Well, no, the gossiping is part of it too, because I was thinking about, okay, if I'm actually going to move to the Shire and have my amazing, cozy little hobbit hole and all of my creature comforts, and it seems like the place, and you and I talked about this, it seems like the kind of place where everybody knows
their business.
Everybody else's business. Your neighbors are definitely paying attention and gossiping, and everybody's going to go down to the Green Dragon and be like, old Kelsey Baggins, Kelsey Underhill, has been like doing some weird things and going out on walks at night by herself.
Can you believe
she's growing the wrong type of cabbage this season? Or
it's not even heirloom.
She gave the sack full of it's not even heirloom cabbages, right? Like as an introvert, I definitely identify with Bilbo, just being like, I'm going to shut the doors and live my best life and ignore everybody. And you know what? They can think I'm a kooky old person.
That's fine. Yeah.
Because this is the life I need. But to fully appreciate the culture of the Shire, I think I would have to be comfortable with everybody kind of gossiping and everybody's knowing their neighbors and putting up with all the local small talk and going down and talking for 3 hours with the gaffer about his beekeeping habits.
There's a niceness to that too.
Yeah.
Like, I was telling you a little bit earlier about there is a neighborhood that I'm looking at buying a house in that's very Shire-like. Like as soon as I visited and went in there, it's got hills and all the streets are very close and the houses are small, so it gives a nice Shire feel, and everybody's got a garden. But so when I was looking at a house there and I was talking to a neighbor, they were definitely giving off those gossipy vibes. And they were saying, you're not going to like the neighbor next door, that type of thing. But I don't know. There's something nice about it too. I guess everybody knows each other's business, but
if the biggest thing you have to worry about is somebody growing the wrong type of plant or whatever, like that's a pretty good life.
Yeah, exactly.
You feel safe. You can worry about the little things because there are no big things.
Yeah. And I mean, at the end, everybody in the Shire had each other's back.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
as I get older, I understand the appeal of the Shire.
Yeah.
And I think there's something to be said for the way Tolkien would write about it. Like it shows his love for the English countryside and when he grew up and he went through it. He served in World War I. He'd been to all these places. He's been around the world more than your average person from the middle of nowhere, Oxfordshire. And at the end of the day, that's what drew him back. And he wanted a cozy life and he wanted his books and he wanted to like just have a nice little, not be bothered by anything. And I think, you asked me 20 years ago when I'm still like in full wanderlust mode, I'm like, no, I want to travel around and see all the things and I want to be held down in the Shire. But as I get older, I really understand the appeal. Like I've seen some of the world. I've been through some stuff. I've been to some dangerous places. I've been all over the world. And something about coming home to a nice, cozy hobbit hole and putting my feet up by the fire and grabbing a cup of tea in my favorite book and literally just deep exhale and not worrying about anything except whatever book I'm about to read.
Yeah.
Sounds fantastic.
You made me think about this as you were saying all that, because I'm in the same place in life. Like I've also traveled a lot when I was younger and now I'm looking to settle down a little bit more and have a nice little garden, just enjoy some good food. And I was thinking, oh yes, I do kind of want that more settled down life, but I still want the trees. But then I remembered how the Shire has different areas. And maybe Hobbiton is not quite the area. Maybe it's even more gossipy than other areas of the Shire.
Yeah, well, it's very close. I mean, it's not the capital is Delving, right? So
I don't know.
Hobbiton it's kind of in the center of the Shire, like just like west of center.
It's just a neighborhood.
It's just a neighborhood. It's like a very posh. I feel like it's like the posh neighborhood, right? Like it's the really nice, like we've got a Hobbiton zip code.
Right.
So maybe we're not buying property there, but I'm with you. I actually feel like just because of your tookishness, well, my adventurous, my prone to
maybe we live in the
Took
adventure area.
Yeah, or even Buckland doesn't sound bad to me because it's east of the Brandywine River, but you can wander off in the Old Forest if you dare.
Well, I could go visit Tom Bombadil's house.
You could go visit him, not take over it, but go visit his house.
I actually was thinking about that more. Because I was saying how I wanted to live there. And I don't actually want his house. But I do.
You've redeemed yourself.
Yeah. I love his house, though, because what I love is him, Tom, and Goldberry. Their love and generosity and like the sense of safety that house has.
Yeah.
You know, they just got not out of the Old Forest, I guess, but they just had a really scary time, getting out of the tree. Old Man Willow. And they're just in this safe house. And he says things like that, like, don't fear the night. Tolkien talks about the weather and the rain falling outside. And it just has this very cozy vibe. So it radiates comfort. And that's what I want. Yeah. Really. I just like that.
Well, and the good thing about being in a place like the Shire is you're close to a bunch of stuff. It's not too far away. If you want something more urban, you can pop over to Bree. I mean, Bree isn't like happening, but you know what I mean.
Right.
It's a change of scenery. You can wander west to Lindon. Yeah. And we can't skip over the fact that the dwarves of the Blue Mountains that border the west of the Shire, between Lindon and the Shire, like you could see the dwarves. They're right there.
True.
And the hobbits have trade with them. Yeah. And, you go south. Yeah. Yeah. I'm pulling up a map of Middle Earth.
It's some open area in there.
Yeah, I wonder what's directly south. Like, again, if I'm going to be a tookish hobbit and wander off on occasion, I want stuff to do. But
that's why I picked Lothlorien.
Yeah.
At first, is because it's so central.
Occasion.
Maybe not close to Lindon, but it's close to Gondor. So, get some big city.
City vibes.
The dwarves are still right there, and it's got some mountains.
Yeah.
Now, they're very snowy mountains. I don't know what they're like in the summer, but Frodo and company had a very hard time crossing those.
Well, Gandalf and Bilbo and company had it. This is a bit of a tangent, but the amount of times that Gandalf tries to cross over the same path in the Misty Mountains. And
hasn't he learned yet?
You'd think he'd learn by the time The Lord of the Rings rolls around. And even Gimli in the books is like, no, these mountains are pretty temperamental. I don't know why you would mess with that. So it's like...
So probably not going on a hiking vacation.
You're 0 for 2 crossing the pass of Caradhras. But over to you, Gandalf. A lot goes into figuring out where I would want to live in Middle Earth. And I'm sure you had your process too when we were thinking about it. There's what do you want to have access to geography-wise? What do you want to have access to culture-wise? Is it the kind of day-to-day life that you're going to be happy with for a short period of time? You kind of get like that tourist vibe where you go visit France for 2 weeks. You're like, I'm moving to France. And it's like, well, that's not the same as living in France, right? And then like also your purpose in life, a sense of what you're working with. Do you care about the local pub? Do you care about the politics of succession in Gondor? Like there's layers of things you can be a part of potentially. Yeah. And how much that actually matters to you.
Definitely not
day-to-day.
Politics.
You're like, I'm out. Gondor is
out. That's why I'd visit Gondor. I feel like if I want some intellectual
Mm-hmm.
conversation or something. Gondor, I think of Gondor as university city. I think it's because Gandalf goes there to look through the scrolls and find out whatever answer he's looking for.
As someone who's previously worked in archives, I would kill to go like dig around just to see what Gondor has in its storage rooms. I'm really jealous of Gandalf, like you mentioned in the movies when they show. I mean,
I love libraries, so I think that's why that scene in general just kind of
give me all the dusty tomes.
Right,
give me a coffee. I'll see you guys in 3 days. Like, I'm going to read all of the things. But living there again, Gondor is huge though. I will say, like, assuming Gondor gets somewhat restored in the Fourth Age. I mean, it's really
I'm pretty
big.
sure Gondor is going to be a place to be in the Fourth Age.
Yeah.
Though.
I mean, it was a place to be in the Second Age, and then...
Yeah, it kind of went a little downhill in the second age, but then, third age. Yeah, under Aragorn, it's going to be...
I'm sure it's happening. Not like, maybe not former glory, but I think that's the one thing the movies do a disservice to. Well, I have my list of things I wish the movies had done differently, but if we're talking specifically about Gondor, you don't really see, like, you see Minas Tirith in the movies. You see Minas Tirith, and it's decaying. You see Osgiliath, and it's completely wrecked. Like, there's just ruins over a river.
That's true.
You see Ithilien, that Frodo and Sam kind of go through for a little bit, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
But again, in the books, Gondor is much bigger. There's realms in the mountains. There's the whole coastal cities. There's a whole, like, prince down on the coast who sends troops to help, Gondor fight. There's the dudes who live up in the mountain in the other parts of Gondor that they all send in troops to fight in the final battle.
Yeah.
In the books. And it's like,
you don't get to see a lot.
You don't get to see any of that. And like, for folks who haven't read the books, Gondor feels a lot smaller in the movies, and that always kind of irks me because I'm like, it's not its peak Númenorian right now. It's not as epic as it was in the Second Age, but
maybe
it's still an awesome place. Like, you've got coast, you've got mountains, you've got 3 major cities. Well, 2 after the one falls to the Nazgul. Osgiliath, that's the other crazy thing is Osgiliath. Like I said, in the movies, we just see this kind of wreck of a city that's being invaded by orcs that Faramir, Boromir's brother and crew, are barely holding on to. You find out in the histories and in the books that Osgiliath used to be the capital city of Gondor. Like, it was more epic than Minas Tirith and Minas Ithil.
Which we only see it as a bunch of ruins.
We've seen a bunch of ruins, and like, it doesn't really give you a sense of scale. It's like, if that was the jewel of Gondor, like, can you imagine? They're like, Minas Tirith doesn't have anything on this place.
It would be nice to see the realm of Gondor in its heyday. Because I might change my answer because of that. Just I'm looking at a map right now.
Yeah.
There's like some rivers. It is next to the sea also.
Do you love being next door to Mordor? I was like, that kind of takes away from...
Yeah, that takes away from it because it's always the place that they go back to. So maybe the 5th age. I also see there's no forest. There's no trees around it.
I think not
that it has no trees, but like...
Ithilien has woods, but that's getting a little close to the border of Mordor for my taste. Like,
Ithilien,
Ithilien, like, it's supposed to be beautiful. It's supposed to be the garden of Gondor. It's where they grew all the fruits and the vegetables and everything back in the day. I'm sure once it gets restored in the 4th age, it's probably pretty beautiful again. Well, it's still beautiful in the books when Frodo and Sam...
Doesn't Faramir end up settling in Ithilien?
Faramir? Yeah. I think he and Éowyn settle somewhere in there. So maybe they bring even more reason to visit.
Lovely place.
They're my favorite couple. But again, just knowing, you and I were talking before we started recording, knowing that you're there and it's amazing and it's beautiful and you've got the gardens. But then every time you look east, you see the mountains of Mordor.
Just memories.
And knowing that Shelob is still probably somewhere up there would make me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, when you mentioned that, I was, they never really talked about Shelob, and I kind of just figured she'd scatter somewhere. But yeah, if she's still hiding out there, see if she chills out.
Yeah, I don't want to accidentally run into a giant spider.
I did really consider, Mordor, what would it turn into in the 4th age?
Oh, yeah.
And when I was reading into it a little bit, because I guess Tolkien did talk about it enough so that we have an idea that people did start resettling there.
Nice.
It does start...
Brave. Good for them.
Yeah. Well, it was the kind of the servants of Mordor that... Maybe not servants of Mordor, but...
like people who had been like...
People that were kind of under...
Forced to work for...
Yeah. Okay. They ended up settling around the sea. Sea of Nirnen. It always sounds like something a Muppet would say. Yeah.
Nirnen.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
Yeah. And I guess it's not like the ocean, but it's a pretty big body of water. And that's where Mordor and Sauron, where he grew a lot of his crops.
Oh.
So it was always decently fertile, but I guess that area...
Interesting.
Comes back after Sauron leaves.
Well, that makes sense, right? You've got volcanic soil, which is rich, nutrient rich. But I guess I never really... I think in my mind, the descriptions of Mordor are always so much the bits that Frodo and Sam see. So like they approach from the north and they see the epic gates and just the desolation of everything leading up. So they see like this nothingness.
Yep.
Where the battle of the last end of Alast Alliance was fought in the Second Age. And they're like, ugh. And then they like skirt around the edge and they get into Ithilien for a hot second in Gondor. And they're like, this is really nice. But by the time they get into Mordor proper, it's dust, ash, nothing's growing,
and
volcanic clouds. I'm like, that sounds awful. Hot, like poisonous gas coming up from the ground.
And I don't think that ever changes, even in the 4th age. It's like the volcano is dormant, but it's still desolate. Nothing's going to grow there for a good long time.
You should pitch me. Like, if you were a real estate agent trying to convince people to resettle
it's
in
an
Mordor.
up-and-coming area. Good investment opportunity.
Yeah, it's a gentrifying neighborhood.
Yeah.
I think you're like your average Gondorian, citizen of Gondor, whatever the term. They'd probably be like, but like you could convince some people from like not the area. Be like, oh, I heard this great place is happening. There's all this land to be had and outside the Sea of Númenor.
Maybe it's, the next generation that didn't grow up under Sauron. They're it's affordable in there.
Yeah. Do they still call it Mordor, though? That's what I want to know. Do they ever try to rename to kind of get rid of the evil vibes?
Rebrand, yeah.
I mean, the real estate people are like, oh, this isn't Death Alley anymore. This is now... Right. They're going to call it.
Good question. I don't know.
To your point, I forgot there was a whole inland
I crossed it off my list.
Lake. No, I don't think we're living there. I don't think
even with the up-and-coming sea area, it's...
I think the threat of the volcano...
no trees.
No trees.
Yeah.
No trees, rude. And the threat of the volcano would probably do it for me, being like, I don't feel like I could live there long-term if the whole volcano could erupt at any point in time.
There's going to be another bad guy at some point. Maybe it's not Sauron, but...
It seems to attract not the best types.
It really... I mean, it's a very defensible mountain range, it's... I don't doubt why they picked it.
Yeah. So for a bad guy, I'm looking to where we want to live in Middle Earth. I can't even. Definitely Mordor.
If I was a bad guy, then I'd be like, moving into Mordor.
This seems homey. I don't know. I was thinking about where you want to live now versus where you want to end up and retire, right? Because it feels like Bilbo is super happy in the Shire.
Oh, for me, Rivendell.
Yeah. Like, pull the Bilbo. Like, you live your cozy life in the Shire, you have some adventures, but at the end of the day, when you want to retire and live out your twilight years, it's somewhere else. So would you want to live in Lindon and retire in Lindon? Or would you live somewhere else, retire to Lindon, live in Lindon, retire somewhere else, like Rivendell?
I think live in Lindon because I'd want to be hiking in those mountains.
Yeah.
While I'm young enough.
You're hiking every day. We're assuming you're a human now too, I suppose.
Like, I know. I'm like, either I'm an elf that's going to live forever anyway, or I'm a human that just wants to enjoy those mountains. But I mean, I love Rivendell, at least how they visually did it in Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I could retire there like Bilbo. They have good food. They're singing all the time.
Yeah, you got your hall of stories.
Yeah, there's lots of good books to read there.
I mean, hobnob with really famous elves.
Waterfalls. Yeah, it's beautiful.
It's beautiful. Small, but
it's too small for me to live in while I'm younger, I think. I need a little bit more going on than that. But yeah, I could definitely retire there. 100%.
Yeah, it's tough with these. I mean, look, I get the appeal of the Elven kingdoms. I think they're a little exclusive. So like this is also presuming that they would let us in. Or we're assuming we're an elf. For me, like I don't think I'm a human. Like, hey, I want to come live in Rivendell. They're gonna be like, no. No.
Well, I was wondering that
yourself here.
Because the elves even call Frodo pretty easily like a friend of the elf. And maybe not an elf, but like...
Yeah, elf friend.
Elf friend.
He's also educated and speaks some Elvish and is culturally aware and like... His uncle's pretty cool and in with the elves.
Like, is my shared love of the trees enough to get me the in?
I don't know. I mean, there's different, we know the elves can be kind of snooty even amongst themselves.
True.
Cough, cough, first stage Noldor elves, and then all the Sindarin elves that are still in Middle-earth that they somehow see as inferior, which...
Right.
I have thoughts.
Yeah.
But yes, your love of trees would definitely get you pretty far with most elves. Yeah. Like, you have a love of nature. They respect that. They tend to be a little exclusive. Like, it feels like a bit like a gated community. Like, it looks really great from the outside, but you don't know what it's like until you actually live there. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking in Lothlorien or any of these Elven realms, I'm not a very good singer, so I'm going to need some voice lessons.
Voted off the island.
I can't join the choir.
They do seem to break out into song an inordinate amount of times, and I'm with you on that. Like, there's a reason.
They're beautiful singers.
Yeah, they're amazing. There's a reason I was in band and not chorus. I don't think maybe they'll let me play instruments while like some other elf is giving an epic retelling of the fall of Gondolin.
Somebody's
going
to play the instruments too.
Yeah, those dwarven. Well, we know the dwarves make instruments. Maybe I'll.
What about Moria?
That's true. We're very elvish right now. We have not talked about the dwarves.
The elves and the men and the hobbits, but what about the dwarves?
I love me some dwarves. I love me some sunlight too, which is what I always come back to. Well, okay, a couple things. If we're talking about elven kingdoms and you talk about exposure to other cultures, you kind of suffer from the problem that they don't get along very well with the dwarves.
Yeah.
And you're only going to see who they let in. So you might not be as exposed to, even in the Shire, they see the dwarves fairly regularly and they see elves that pass through and stuff. But the elves are like, dwarves are not welcome here. So there could be a bit of a problem in terms of exposure to other cultures. But in terms of dwarven kingdoms, I want to hear your thoughts because I have kind of a hybrid example I think I'm going to bring up. But I want to hear, did you consider any dwarven kingdoms when you thought about where you could live?
Not heavily, only because, again, lack of trees.
Sunlight and trees are kind of...
Well, because we talked a little bit before about Moria and how they had all the sunlight coming in and they had gardens in there and at least to grow food.
There is light, but
there's light.
It's still a lot of artificial light. It's like living in an office building. It's not the same.
I'm sorry, I couldn't do it.
No.
Yeah, maybe others could, but...
Well, but are you saying that I'll push back. Are you saying that from the perspective of a human or a non-dwarf? Or let's presume you're a dwarf that has an affinity for the stone.
Okay.
And is comfortable in that environment.
You're right. I'm talking
Would that
from an
change
elf.
it? Put on your dwarf hat.
Right. Okay.
And then tell me if your answer changes.
I feel like it would have to.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the map right now because I don't actually know much beyond Moria. Dwarven kingdoms.
Well, there's not. They've sort of fallen into ruin. So we know that there were.
You mentioned Lindon had a dwarven.
Oh, Doriath. So we know by the time of the Third Age, Moria's fallen into ruin.
Yeah.
And a couple of the dwarves from Thorin's company go to try to restart it, but that doesn't end well. Spoiler alert for Lord of the Rings. There's the kingdom in the Blue Mountains, the Ered Luin in the west, to the west of the Shire. And they're still functioning as far as we know. And I think it helps too because they're sandwiched between the Shire and Lindon, the Elvish kingdom. So there's not a whole lot of badness coming their way, at least in the Third Age. So maybe that's allowed them to be more stable. There's in the Lonely Mountain that Bilbo helped Thorin restart.
That's right.
And took it back from Smaug. So it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
Smaug. I always want to say it. No, I do not have Benedict Cumberbatch's mellifluous voice, but Smaug. Right. And we don't know what else is out there, right? Because we know the Dwarven kingdoms have fallen, like the early Dwarven kingdoms from the First and Second Age got wrecked. But yes, when you asked about Dwarven kingdoms, I was going to say... I actually have a hybrid answer, which is kind of cheating. It's not really Dwarven. It is an elven-ish kingdom.
Curious.
But Doriath. And for our poor listeners who are probably tired of me dragging them back to the First Age, bits of the Silmarillion, I really like Doriath. Like,
honestly, I want to hear more about it.
Yeah, I think, honestly, by the end of this episode, I'm probably going to be like, Doriath is where I would definitely want to live. But we'll see if my mind changes between now and then. Doriath is a kingdom in Middle-earth in... Well, Beleriand, which is our poor continent that got sunk at the end of the First Age and is no more. So it does not exist in the Second Age onward.
Womp womp.
But while it did exist, so it actually existed for millennia. And the cool thing, and this is what I really like about, well, there are several things I like about Doriath, but I like that it is native Middle-earth. It's like indigenous to Middle-earth. So it is not a great kingdom that is built by elves who have come back from Valinor, back to Middle-earth and say, we're going to build a grand kingdom. It doesn't have the sort of egotistical nature of the Noldor elves.
Okay.
Yeah, I have some bias.
We're going to build something better.
We're going to come back and recreate Valinor, which is, what they tried to do with Gondolin. Like, there's none of that ego. Doriath is a kingdom that was founded by, all right, we'll do a little mini history lesson, right? So way back before the First Age, when Eru Ilúvatar, the One, creates the elves and they sing them into existence and they wake up way in the east of Middle-earth on the edge of the continent.
Yeah.
Like east of Rune.
Oh, even east of Rune.
Like really far out there. And they wake up under the stars. There's no moon. There's no sun. There's only like beautiful starlight on the shores of Lake Cuivennen. And they wake up and there's like sort of the three tribes of the original elves that are coming to creation.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Valar send Orome the hunter out, and he goes to be like, hey guys, welcome to existence, right? And his whole purpose is to find them, like hunt them down, not hunt them down, but like, because he's a hunter, he can like track them.
Okay.
Find out where they ended up, which again, you and I were talking, I have questions about like, if you're going to sing them into existence, sing them closer to where you want them to end up and not like the other end of the planet.
Is it a random spawn?
It's a random start point. This is an RPG.
They spawn into
very east. Can't control. No, you're supposed to spawn on the other end of the...
Maybe that's what they had to do. They had to spawn as far east, far from Valinor as possible.
And who knows? And that's part of their journey and everything else.
Exactly,
but I'm taking us on too much of a tangent here. Anyway, skipping ahead. So we've got our three kind of original tribes of elves, and they all have their leaders. And one of which is named Elwë. But the three tribes start making their way west because they're told to like go across Middle-earth. We'll bring you to Valinor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the three leaders of the elves are doing their thing and making their way across. And at some point, they get like 3/4 of the way into like,
oh, this is nice.
Well, one of them, Elwë, I don't know if he like give me a moment and like just goes off and wanders in the forest, or like I don't know what the genesis of him taking a little side mission is, but he goes off and he stumbles into this part of Beleriand and he stumbles across Melian, and she is amazing and he is immediately enamored.
Right. Okay.
And they fall in love, and he's like, you guys keep going west. Like, I'm good here. I found my lady.
Right.
This place is amazing. Like, I don't need to go to Valinor.
Love made
like,
him stay. Yeah.
Love made him stay. And it's really cool. I mean, he's absolutely awestruck. And the other cool thing is Melian is not an elf. She is a Maiar, which is really super special. So, you know, in the sort of pantheon of gods, we have Eru Ilúvatar, the one. Then we have the Valar, which are the high gods. And then we have the Maiar, which is sort of the tier underneath that, which, you know, Gandalf is, and Sauron is a Maiar, right?
Yep.
Melian is a Maiar. She is very powerful.
Not a wizard, but...
Yeah, well, she didn't, like, spawn in Middle-earth as a wizard. She traveled to and from Middle-earth from Valinor, so she's associated with Vana and Yavanna.
Does she have an elf form, or, like, what is her...
I would have to pull back the text to see how she appears to Elwë.
Okay.
When he meets her. Humanoid. I don't know if it's like her like full Maiar form.
Because like even the wizards are human.
They choose to look human.
Yeah.
Like, because she's existed in the Blessed Realm, so she probably she looks different. Anyway, skipping ahead again. Long story medium. Elwë takes on a new name, Fingal, and he and his new lady love, Melian, create the kingdom of Doriath. And to me, like you were describing Lindon kind of having a little bit of everything, to me, Doriath, other than having seaside real estate, it doesn't have coast, which is fine for me. Like, I'm a mountain and river girly, so I don't need to be near the ocean.
Yeah.
They create this incredible kingdom, and it's got forests, and it's got mountains, and it's got rivers, and it's so cool. But their capital city, I've strayed so far from our original Dwarvish question, their capital city of Menegroth is actually built by the dwarves.
Okay.
And it's underground. And it's one of like two instances we have of the elves choosing to live underground.
Okay.
Now, and it's supposed to be beautiful. They call it the glittering city of 1,000 caves. And it's incredible. And there's all these like lights and facets.
I'm going to have to read up on Doriath a little bit.
So it's not like a dark cave, mind you. Like, it's beautiful and lit with jewels and light. But it's created by the dwarves, and the elves and the dwarves actually get along for this part of the First Age, and they live together. And I think dwarves are permitted in the kingdom. So it's one of the few elven kingdoms that you can see that dwarven influence. Yeah. Because the only other place they live underground is Legolas's dad, Thranduil. Yeah. So the kingdom of Mirkwood, their capital city, is underground too.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know. I don't think it was built by the dwarves. I'd have to look that up.
I have no memory of that.
Yeah, I have no memory of this place.
Right.
Doriath. But Doriath is cool because, one, like I said, it's indigenous to Middle-earth. It's not something that the High Elves brought back over and created. Like, it is by an elf who chose to stay in Middle-earth.
What's it like? What are the politics like? Or is it... So you said it's underground.
Well, the main city is underground, but like there's forest and all these other parts of it you can wander around to. There's mountains and stuff, I think, in one part. It's
How
not
big
super,
of a city is it?
It's big.
Like compared to maybe Minas Tirith?
I would compare it to Moria.
Okay.
It's a big underground city. Yeah, it's a big one. I'm sure folks will probably be like, no, that's not right. So correct me if I'm wrong. I'll pull it up. We'll go to the research team. But what I like about Doriath is it's got a little bit of everything except the ocean. Elves and the dwarves mostly get along. You know, they don't love it when like randos wander in. And there's a whole series of events that eventually cause Melian to create a magical barrier. So basically when the war with Morgoth really kicks off, she closes down the borders. She shuts it down. She's like, I'm going to create a magical barrier to protect her
understandable.
Kingdom. Yeah, like you want to not deal with all that mess that the Noldor brought back with them. So, fine. It really seems, politics-wise, you know, there's some stuff going on, but also Lady Galadriel learned under Melian. Like, she learned stuff from... I wonder if she learned the lembas recipe from her.
Actually, that's why that name sounded familiar. Yeah. I did look into it a little bit.
Yeah.
Yavanna, she was the Valar that started the lembas spread, and I think she did pass it on to
Melian. Yeah.
Yes, and then she passed it on to Galadriel.
See?
That's what
bringing it back to lembas. Yeah. But like she's a nature lover, so there's definitely an affinity for that.
You're selling me on this.
Knowledge with the elves. They're cool enough with the dwarves. Men, you know, maybe not so much, but it seems like the kind of place that gives you kind of a feel of a lot of different things, minus the whole Grey Havens coastal vibes. It's got most of the things you want. It's very well protected for a long time.
You're a real estate agent. You're selling me on it.
Yeah. Like, does it eventually fall and crash into the ocean like most of the things in the First Age? Yes. But if we're, choosing point in time.
Right.
And
First
just
age.
pretending none of that ever really happens.
Because that
seems like a pretty cool place to live.
Yeah. Well, you reminded me of when you said elves and dwarves together, you reminded me of Eregion.
Yeah.
Which, again, bringing it back to the Rings of Power.
Yeah.
And it's right next to Moria.
Yeah.
Like in the Misty Mountains.
They get along. They share trade. Well, they didn't really show it enough in the TV show, but they have a really, really awesome functioning relationship for a long time, and they share craft, and they build the famous doors of Durin.
Yeah. So we've gone pretty much all over Middle Earth.
Yeah.
Is there any
we
other
still
place?
Kind of didn't talk about the dwarves. I feel bad, but I just
Well, yeah.
Look, I'm not a dwarf. I can admit that. I think that there are some people that super appeals to. It's not me.
I have friends that they identify with the dwarves.
Yeah.
So sorry to those people maybe that we didn't go into it as much. I do think Khazad-dûm in its heyday has been good.
Oh, I'm sure it's been amazing.
I definitely think Rings of Power for giving all that a visual, that makes it easier to identify.
No, I think
the place. I guess in the Lord of the Rings movies, you don't really see. I don't think I have enough to connect with.
No, I mean, we didn't talk about some of the other kingdoms of men. So obviously there's Gondor, great. The northern kingdom of Arnor, the other Númenorian kingdom, is kaput.
And we didn't really talk about Númenor itself.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, it also goes underwater.
Ooh.
But Númenor, and I'm glad we brought that up because I did consider that one as a place. Númenor, there was a lot going on in that little island.
No, I mean, it was the most powerful kingdom of men ever to exist. I'm like, this is going to be a big spoiler for anybody who doesn't know what's coming in Rings of Power. But I'm going to say it. I'm going to warn you now. Spoiler alert. We've said it, but it's so powerful that they come to rescue the elven kingdoms in the Second Age because Eregion gets destroyed. Sauron's making his moves against the rest of the elves. Gil-galad is like, we need some help here. And Númenor shows up and is so powerful that they capture Sauron, which is
That's pretty badass.
It's pretty badass. That's pretty epic, all things considered. Yeah. So, in terms of kingdoms go, that's a lot of power and knowledge. And, look, they're descended from Elrond's brother.
I don't have the map up of Númenor right now, but I remember reading it's got mountains and pretty scenery areas.
Don't know if it has volcanoes. That would kind of be an immediate red flag for me. The problem I have with Númenor, for all of its glory and record keeping and amazing history, one, they're almost in sight of the Undying Lands and they're not allowed to go there. And that kind of feels like a middle finger from the Valar. Whatever lesson they're trying to teach. Really?
I think it's kind of human nature. That's why they ended up going away from the elves anyway. Because it's paradise is just
right
on the
there.
Other side of the sea.
No touchy. Cannot have. It's
no, you're not allowed.
Could you put them not within sight of it? Because the fact that you can go to the highest peak of the island of Númenor and see...
Oh, and they can see it?
You can see the island at the edge of Valinor from the top. Oh, so it's it's not it's right there. I don't know if you're using a telescope or something, but they talk about it. You go to the edge of Númenor and you can practically see Valinor.
Oh, that would be, that would be rough.
That's really rough. Yeah. And knowing that...
I kind of see the resentment building there.
Right? Yeah. Over a couple generations, I feel like that's going to build up. The other thing for me, though, is...
Tolkien really understood... human nature.
Yeah, it's almost like he was the greatest writer of our age. So there's this sort of Valinor feeling like they're rubbing it a little bit in their faces, intended or not. And then two, I'm just not a boat girly. And the fact that Númenor is cool on the island, but you have to take a boat to sail across very treacherous seas to see anything on the continent.
Fair. You got to really love the island of Númenor.
I can swim. But I don't think I want to be in the ocean where there are unnamed creatures, both of Ulmo, the Valar of the seas, but also dark creatures. I don't know what's in that water. Open water swimming? No.
Yeah, and if you love cruises, maybe.
Do you think, oh my God,
Is it like the Bahamas?
Yeah, no. Do you think there's retirees and older people from Númenor? Because again, they live longer than your average human because they're descended from the elves.
Do they take cruises?
Do you think there's crews of retired Númenorians that they go and stop along port cities on the eastern shores of Middle Earth and get off for a day or half a day? I'm this is really interesting in the port city. And they come back with souvenirs from there's, because Númenor had colonies on the coast. So they had places to sail to.
I love that idea.
Or they pop up to Lindon and they're
that definitely exists.
I brought back a Malorn leaf as a souvenir. I'm going to put it on my fridge.
I think that has to exist. I love it. Yeah, they go to the Grey Havens. That's where they.
Yeah,
that's where the
you take a little like old timey workshop on elven boat building craft, and they show you how the boats are made. We're going to walk you down to the shipyards.
Yep.
Oh my god, the elves would be so upset if they had to be tour guides to Númenor.
Oh my god,
especially after they save them. Like,
okay,
so theoretically, there's a period there where the elven kingdoms are stable.
Mm-hmm.
Sauron's not like wrecking things in Middle Earth right now because he's captive. Eventually not captive, but captive in Númenor. So there's a period where they could be just like, look at us tootling around and visiting the elven kingdoms and like going to like excursions into the dwarven kingdom. Oh my gosh, I want Númenorian. What would you call your Númenorian cruise line?
I cannot
putting you on the spot.
But
we'll come back to it. I think that's I want to hear what people would.
Yeah, if anybody has any ideas of the Númenorian cruise line.
Yeah, or like where you would stop along the coast. And oh man, yeah, but Númenor for me, like it's cool and all. I want to visit it. I don't want to live there. It's too isolated for me.
Yeah, I think I overall agree. I'm still in Lindon.
Lindon, you still, so coming back to this at the end, to wrap up, if we will, has your decision changed? Would you still live in Lindon or would you pick something else?
You were definitely selling me. What was it called again?
I left such an impression, but the name is not there.
It was starts with a D, Doriath. Yeah, you were selling me pretty good on that one. I think coming from somebody that has seen what it's like now through the first and fourth ages.
Yeah.
Lindon doesn't sink into the sea.
That's true. See, this again, you sort of have a 30,000 foot perspective.
I know.
Like, if I'm going to pick a place that still exists.
I think I'd still pick Lindon. The only reason that Doriath speaks to me more is that it kind of sounds like a bigger city. And I do like how the dwarves are in there too. So you get kind of a mix of different people there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's something about Lindon and the fact that it is a little bit quieter that I think speaks me more.
I'm still torn. Because as we've been discussing it, I sort of see the pros and cons of all these different areas. And let's say, like, human or not, let's say I can literally live everywhere. And let's say things do exist. Like, we don't pretend they fall into the ocean. I still think Doriath, to me, because of all the things it represents, like how we get very few... When you think of the great cities and kingdoms that are created by the elves, Doriath is the only one other than Thranduil's kingdom up in the north and Mirkwood. Like, it's Sindar and elves that have been there.
Yeah.
And I think that's really elvish culture,
I do respect the ones that are like, no, I like it here.
I like it here. I don't want to go. I don't need to see those fancy trees. But like in terms of like creature comforts and coziness, I'm still drawn to the Shire. It really is a toss-up for me.
Who doesn't love the Shire?
I think this is such a cop-out answer, but I think if I could live on the Shire and take a hit to my reputation and occasionally adventure out, that's my happy place.
Yeah.
Because I want to come back to my little hobbit hole.
It is pretty central.
It's pretty central.
You can take a vacation to the mountains. Come visit me in Lindon.
Yeah, I'll come see you in Lindon. I'll go see the dwarves. I'll go to Rivendell if I feel adventurous and occasionally venture out farther. But for the most part, I want to...
Where do you want to retire in? Does it say the same?
It's still the Shire.
Okay.
It's still the Shire, I think. It's cozy. And like, I'm assuming I'm a hobbit or human of note that like I have access to elvish stuff and books and I'm not like relegated to...
You would be a Bilbo where you've got your... All your books and big library.
Yeah, I would want things from the outside world to bring back things from my adventures, or maybe I've taken a Númenorian cruise and I've seen the coast.
Let's go on a cruise.
I want to go on a Númenorian cruise together. The older I get, the more I just want to be in the Shire and not worry about anything.
I love it. That is so fair.
I'm going to completely ignore all the hard work the Rangers are doing on the border to keep the Shire safe, mind you.
Right.
I think as long as I can occasionally pop out into the wide world and, see some things, I think the Shire is...
Ready to settle down.
Yeah, I want to settle down the Shire and get really good at cheese making. Like, that's my retirement
sourdough.
plan. I'm going to make some bread. I got my sourdough starter. I'm going to be Kelsey's gourmet Hobbiton cheese or whatever we're going to call it. I think that's the retirement
Invite
plan.
me over.
Yeah. Maybe I'll steal the recipe for lembas from somebody so I can like have like the lockdown on lembas that is distributed in the Shire in the later years or something.
I love it. Yeah.
I think that's where I'd end up. Like I think like as much as I was like, I'm going to change my answer by the end of this, but ultimately, no, I want a cozy hobbit. I think that's very much the reality of a lot of things. I think it's the stress of the real world. I think it's all the things. I'm not going to get too serious on this, but I think it's also like dealing with everything in the world right now and all the stress and all the uncertainty and the dumpster fire that is planet Earth right now.
Yeah.
I think there's something so universally appealing about being in the Shire and not worrying about climate change and not worrying about regime change or whatever it happens to be. Like, I just want to smoke my pipe weed and work on my artisanal cheeses and not have a care in the world and sleep as soundly as an overfed hobbit. That to me is
amen.
The dream, right? Like, and again, like I really, really identify with Tolkien for someone who's been in overseas and in dangerous environments, seeing all the awfulness that humanity can do, and then being like, you know what I want? I just want to go have a pint and talk to my family and read a book. Like, I don't want to deal with any of that.
You're almost making me want to say the same thing. But I'm going to keep my answer for the time being, but we can always revisit.
I'm practicing my arts like Saruman, and I shall use my voice to convince you of whatever. No, I think like
you can get a hobbit hole next to each other, and
you can have your weekend vacation hobbit hole.
That would be nice. Yeah.
Rent it out and I'll have a place in Lindon. Yeah. But I think also taking a step back, for me, it says a lot that Tolkien created such a rich and diverse geography of all these different places that you can debate, like, this sounds incredible and this sounds incredible, and they're not two-dimensional. We can dig into these kingdoms and what it would be like to live there, or the pros and cons of the cultures there. And it's what happens when you write for your entire life. But it's such an amazing smorgasbord of places to even consider living.
I completely agree that as I was doing the research for this episode and even looking at these maps right now, I mean, he did create an entire world. There's a history in every one. Goes back generations and ages.
It's the ultimate power move, right? Like, he didn't like write a story and then try to fit some stuff into it. He invented multiple languages. He invented an entire saga, an entire universe. And he's like, you know what?
Yeah.
I might write a book out of that.
I might as well make a story out of this.
Now we get the Lord of the Rings.
Now that I have this whole world. But yeah, it's got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, there's something for everyone. And whether you find yourself wanting to kind of cozy up in the Shire with me, or go hiking and
come to my mountain.
I'm getting like West
retreat.
Coast vibes from Lindon.
Yeah,
honestly.
No, I think I kind of always thought that I'd end up on the West Coast, and it still calls to me on some level.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you really I think that the West is calling.
Yeah, but.
I thought that's funny. It's funny what speaks to us. I always thought I would want to live somewhere super crazy and urban. And like, I remember the first time I was in the English countryside and I was like, oh,
you are like Tolkien.
Get it.
I love it. Well, I can't wait to talk about this again when we've maybe had more life experiences and we can just be in a different place. But yeah, I think
revisit in 10 years and see if we change our answers.
Absolutely. That was a lovely journey through all the different areas of Middle-earth. Thanks for sticking with us through all that and the lore.
Oh my gosh. Thanks for the tangents. Thanks for letting Kelsey talk way too much about not the dwarves. I really want to go on a trip now. That's kind of where I'm at. We'll see.
I got to plan our next vacation.
I plan my next vacation.
Escape reality for a minute.
Probably not going to be a Númenorian cruise, but I'm here for it.
Well, does that bring us to our call to adventure?
I think that brings us to our call to adventure. If you enjoyed wandering with us today, please subscribe to Beyond the Brandywine on Spotify, Apple Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You can also find us on YouTube at Beyond the Brandywine. We'll be putting up visual tangents to accompany some of the podcasts, as well as recordings of the podcasts themselves.
And for even more Middle-earth musings, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Beyond the Brandywine.
And plus, you can find all of our links and more at beyondthebrandywine.com.
We would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on where you would want to live in Middle-earth, or just general impressions of your favorite locations and why. So feel free to reach out to us on the socials or email us at hello@beyondthebrandywine.com.
What was that?
hello@beyondthebrandywine.com.
Thank you, everyone, for wandering through Middle-earth with us today.
And until next time, don't be afraid to wander beyond the Brandywine. Music. And
La-da-da.
I don't think that was the clip we agreed upon.
Oh, man.